Hi, my name is Thomas Südbrücker. I like to learn and I like to share what I've learned. And this is the reason why I created a blog. Here I share my experience around cloud development, AI and agents. AI and agents getting more and more popular. And here I also have a YouTube channel where I create some videos, mostly about the usage in the development context. And I have a topic which is now getting more and more popular for me and for others. Here is about watsonx Orchestrate. watsonx Orchestrate, the IBM solution for enterprise agent usage. And here I started with 2 videos about the usage and how to work with the local development capabilities which are provided by the watsonx Orchestrate Agent Development Kit. Here I will cover in this video an additional topic related to the last video I created about the flow builder, because the flow builder has evolved and also the entire functionality involves more and more. So let us just take a look here into the documentation. Here you can see the documentation, see what's new, and you can see here always changing. So I have not the latest update, so it was yesterday. Today we have September the 13th, and on my side it's a Saturday, and it is close to 4 p.m. And here we have some new functionalities. Yeah, I do not currently use that. I have the older installation. Yeah, so not the hot newest one. And we will cover the topics about flows, but the flow editor. And you can see the flow can also be implemented in building also with with implementation upload. And it is good if you're already familiar how to bring a human in the loop when working with LLM. LLM is not always right. Humans are not always right, but in business you must it is important that you enforce maybe some processes, some steps and validations by human, but when especially if you are working with LLMs together and in agents, and just to ensure maybe the tool was invoked in the right way, or maybe from other perspective. And the other perspective, we will also take a look at that. So, and that is the topic. So let me see here. That is the application. So we can see that is the application, example application about that Galaxium Travels. Yeah, here you can travel to Mars, Moon, and so on. And with the new functionality, which is currently here given. So let's see here again. We have here an ability. We have not only the ability here to work on the website, we have also here in chat. And here we can maybe also register and so on. But when we do that, when I would say, for example, here I want to register, yeah. I want to register, then I can do that, yeah. And it provides me some information and it directly does that, but mostly it does it without that I need to confirm any of the steps. Yeah, sometimes it does it, but that must be done in a more precise way when you have business behind. Yeah, and that is the reason why I want to show you the new functionality inside the flow builder. So let us go through the topics I will do inside the inside a short presentation, short overview. So let's see here. So enforce human in the loop approach within a tool. So because we will using tool, yeah. to invoke another tool. The tool is the flow, yeah, and another tool is then the what is integrated with the REST API. So that is what we will see in a few moments. So that is here. So what you can see at the moment, we have, for example, the first agent, what you have seen here, which is integrated in the example application. It has the several REST API invocation possibilities we did integrate in the last video, and it is very easy to do that. Yeah, for sure. You can also say, yeah, why not MCP? In some cases, it is really cool also just to have what's there, to start with that, not directly to build up an MCP if it's not directly needed. But it is really, really, really easy for that. And if you have a good documented REST API, I really like that as a starting point. So with that, it's great. So, and it is incredible how good and even not too complex prompted agent works. Yeah, sometimes it is really so you can't believe. But when it comes to make that more concrete, yeah, then it gets a little bit more complex. And I like also what Max Jersch said, and he has done a short podcast as far as here. I totally agree what he said in that podcast about the expectation management about the agents, and maybe also you can take a look at the expectation management on the blog post I made. So let me see here. The next is when we have now the human in the loop, yeah, with that concept. So then we have here the next agent, and the next agent is about manage a Galaxium user. And here we will replace the tool, for example, here for the booking. Yes, that can also be done for the booking. And then we will implement here a process where we enforce to interact the user that he agrees, for example, to a booking configuration, yeah, and then the booking is only invoked when he agrees to that. So, and maybe inside all that stuff can also start or can invoke some other tools, yeah. So that, and that is very good, just to have the human in the loop to do that. And now we're going to do an implementation for register a user in our example application, and that is what I want to show you. First of all, it is about display the information a user must confirm. That is usual. Then question, yeah, to confirm, yeah. And then we must process the action and then show the results, maybe inside our new tool, or maybe the agent will do that automatically. So that is what we are going to do. And with this in mind, so we going to the second, yeah, agent. So let me just make that a little bit bigger. Yeah, hopefully not too, oh, that's really too big. So now that is the register a user, what is currently here, and that is what we will replace, yeah. And now we will create a new tool, and that is then a flow. And with the flow, now you can see here, we have here the flow, and we will give that a name. And as it is a tool, yeah, what we will invoke, and it needs a good description and good naming. And what we just take, and that is the backend, what we currently see here for register user. We can see here that is the naming. And we just also grab the description, and now we can define here the description, and we can give it a name and just say maybe also here not only register, that's maybe it is enough. As we have seen, it works, and but I would say I call it register new user. And we call it also flow, so that we can see, okay, this is the tool, which is the flow. And what we also do in the situation what we have, maybe the user is already registered. The question with that is, do we implement our flow to check if the user is already registered, or maybe we just say, hey, if you're going to use the tool LLM, the user already must be registered. And then it is possible just do it at the end. It is a kind of prompting what we doing with the information. Yeah, so we prompt the information for the usage of that tool inside, and here the tool must not be invoked if the username, email are already registered and the user has a user ID. So that is what we want to prevent. We want to prevent that the tool is invoked when already a user is registered. Otherwise, here we just, or not otherwise, we just now take the inputs which are here. So that is what we going to have. Yeah, we have here an input which is the name. It's a string, and then we have here also an email. Yeah, and that you can see. So that is what we are going. That is what we are going to invoke, and when we are going to have our process around our flow. And then we have an output. You can also take a look here what the output here is. We have addition here, the user ID. So we have the name also will be added to the output, the email, and here we have the user ID. So that is what we have in addition, so that we see that is what we need to return later on. So with all of that, now we are ready to start. Yeah, so we gave a name, so we have the high level configuration for the binding to the usage. So when we would now start to, when we say here, maybe also I can just say stop, so nothing will happen. So now when we're going to say register a new user, and we ensure that we remove that tool, yeah, so then we can see for example, register Thomas at thomas.de, for example. Yeah, so that will be used more than once. And then we can see what it does. It does a reasoning, and it goes to the tooling what we currently have, but we have nothing now at the moment implemented, so nothing happens. So that is the result, and nothing. It hallucinates an output. That's interesting. Yeah. So and that is what it does at the moment. So without any additional action, what we have done here. So when we have that in mind, now going back to the register flow. So what we did. So now we do the user activity. The user activity we can add here, and now we give here the user activity, the name here, register user. Register user. And what we want to do now in the first step, we want to display, as we said, display the information of the provided information from the user, because we want later on that the user confirms that the information is right. So then we call that display user to be registered. Yeah, so that is what we can say. And then we can say you want to register following user. So, and then we can see that we have the name and then the email. So, okay, so we can say done. What is a sometimes that's a little bit not tricky. It's just not to forget. Here I said here display the user information. Yeah, so that is what we're doing. And then now it's done. So not to forget that. And yeah, I do that again. I copy that again. So I save that. Now I do it here, Thomas. And now the first step, what happens? You can see now you want to register following user. And that is right. It gives now, it still hallucinates something. Yeah. So that is not registered. Nothing happens, we know. So don't trust the LLM in some cases. Yeah. Even if they do some great things. Yeah. But yeah. Okay. And now we can see with the next step, flow builder. Now we're going to request, a choice. Now we request a choice. That is do you want to register this user? So, and that is here what it does. And then we can see here stop and once again, it is the Thomas. And now, would you like to register this user? And it has also a little bit, and then I say true. Yeah, and yeah, still hallucinating because it does nothing. We do not invoke anything. Yeah, and even it cannot register the user because we have stolen and removed the register functionality because we removed the tool for register from the agent, as you remember here. So that is, if it wants to use the register, it can only use this. The next is that we what we need to do is that we going here open the flow and then we say here add a branch. So and then is check check the decision. So and then I have done that, and then we have two paths. That is the path is the first is the if path. We can see that is here that path, and the second path, which is provided also when we see that here, which is provided also to add at the moment directly to add a tool. So we now need really to understand, okay, what we want to do. So that means that path is the path when it says at the moment when he says no, yeah, because it goes directly through and will not add, and we will not invoke an additional tool. So with that, we can say, okay, that path through is when the decision on our case, yeah, that is the false decision. Yeah. So if it is false, and then we can see that is the false way. And then we need to define the decision if. Then we see, do you want to register? And then we need the value is false. Yeah. So that is what we did here. That is the false. If it is false, it goes through directly here to the false flow. And otherwise, yeah, there's no, the second option is only true. So then we can say here that is the true path. So, and then here we now can add the tools from the tools user register a user, and that is what we can do. So, but what we now need to do, if the user is registered, we now need really to ensure that the return values are set right. Because now we can see there is edited data mapping. We can see maybe automatically for that tool we have that for the invocation we can remove both here. Now we can say, okay, we want from the flow input for the email to the email, and for the flow input the mail. So that mail the name. So now we have a concrete, we have ensured so that we provide the right information, not do any hallucination, really provide the information. And then after that, just to ensure that everything is set right, we do an additional code block. And then we just say set the values. Set values for the output. So, and we define the output. We have here also, because now we are inside an additional code block which provides additional outputs, and that output we also provide just the same output as we did before. We have here a name, and then we have here the email, but also, and now we have the information if we enter the user ID. Okay, so going to the code block. So I want to ensure that the values for the output. So I guess here. So, and when we now have done this, we're going to set that. Can we say self? We have the email and the information. Then we can see here what we have from the flow. And then we can see register user. And then it's register new user. You can see that is the information from the flow. We have, first of all, our user interaction is register user. Yeah, so you remember. Then we do invoke, register a new user. And the output of our tool we have bounded. Yeah. Here is the email. Yeah, so that is the output of the tool what we invoked before. I showed that in a few moments again. Yeah. So then we have the output for the name, and now we do just the same. We do the flow. Yeah. Flow, and then that is the name. And self, the user ID. We do that. Flow. So why do I do that? I do that in addition. And in some cases it works, but just to ensure that it is really set to the right values, and the implementation of the automatic flow generation. Normally you have to implement that all what you have seen in here. Or you can implement that all manually, yeah, with langgraph functionalities in the flow capabilities, if you are familiar with that. But now we're going to use that in here in that UI, and then that is what we need here to set. So with that, yeah, do that. Or it's better. We don't need that, but it's better to do that. That is from my experience. So, and then we do here just say okay, and let's see if it works. If it really works what I promised. So let me see. So so says that, and I say yes. So, and now users registered successfully. It has said that several times before. So can we trust? So let me see if that works. Though I can, because I still have the ability with the tools here to verify if a user is already here. So I can say here is or what is the user ID for Thomas at thomas.de. So let's see. So it should invoke then get user by name and email. Oh, let me see. It's 11. Cool. And also in the UI. Let me see here when we go here. User ID book. Enter user ID. Do I have some flights? List my flights. Yeah, no booking spotted. User exists. Okay, great. Works. Cool. So, but now we can also try the very risky part. So what we also did when we go back to the tool, we tried not to build in the functionality when a user already exists. Now, that is what you try to avoid, because here with the additional prompting, yeah, the tool must not be invoked if the username email already registered and user has a user ID. So let's see if that works. So, okay. So now we can use the same, and normally it should not now invoke our tool. Let's see if it works or not. Otherwise, we must implement that differently, or we should implement differently. And as you can see, it gives the information you want to register, and it has invoked the tool, yeah, but nothing happens again. So let me see. So here, but it has ended. Okay. It also asks me to register it, and it seems it is not enough in that case, really, just to have that with the prompting. In that case, we would also have to add the functionality inside our flow, so that we can say, okay, don't do that for already registered user, so that we need to have the tooling, for example, when we do that here, adding tools to our flow, which to verify that. But that is not a topic in this video, yeah, I just wanted to show you the basic capabilities and show you also a little bit about what you have to take care, yeah. But it is great to see you have the ability really to bind in the user interaction to ensure the human in the loop is active. And with that, I hope that was useful for you. And I say thanks for watching. And in addition, we can just take a look here. It's always good also here to have the langgraph. Yeah, we can also here, or the lang views, you can also see here what happened beside, and maybe see, okay, why was that invoked? And with that, I say bye, and what I also write always in my blog post at the end. Let's see what's next. Bye.